is the fact that against Puff you have the option to just entirely disengage, and I don't think entirely disengaging is ever inherently a bad option. Sometimes it might not be the most, efficient option, but it's never just bad, you know.
Yeah.
And so off that basis, it makes it pretty easy when it's like, damn, this is kind of awkward. I don't want to get, hit by a random Puff move, then have to worry about maybe getting grabbed and then getting rested or something. You could just be like, oh, I'm out of here, and you just get to double jump away or run away.
Yeah.
And that, makes executing the game plan so much easier when you don't have to worry about the little gray areas that no one likes dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough matchup, and I would say maybe like just floaties in general has kind of been I struggle a little bit with like Puff and Peach and a lot of those matchups where like just kind of not engaging as much, playing the laser game
Mm.
is like an option. Um, so I think like just in general, like as we'll go through this, I think some of the concepts are going to translate well to some of the matchups where I need to not engage as often,
Yeah.
like Samus or Peach. But yeah, I've just been like, originally I was like, oh, I'll start with Falcon, maybe go to another character I'm comfortable with. But I saw a lot of big strides in the past few weeks in the Falcon matchup for me, and I've like listened to that lesson VOD like 5 or 6 times, and like was getting a lot out of it
Mm-hmm.
and kind of understanding a lot more what you meant conceptually. So I think I'm ready to like go into a matchup where like I have a lot less figured out. I'm just like I'm sick of like when you like are playing bracket and you go against a certain character and it's just like I never feel like I lose because I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a good game plan.
Yeah.
I feel like like when I lose to like a Fox or a Falco or like a Falcon, I can kind of like I can be upset with how I played, but I can go home with like my head held high to a certain extent because it's like I know that like on this day this person outplayed me or like something along those lines.
Yeah.
But whenever I like run into a Peach or a Puff in bracket, I'm just kind of like, yeah, like I really haven't done the homework here, and it shows. And like I don't really think I had a chance as when I plugged in because of all of like the level one things I'm not really doing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I kind of want to just figure that out probably with like Peach and Puff specifically, but I'm just starting with Puff because I feel like it's a bit simpler than Peach.
I agree. I think Puff is a lot simpler than Peach. People say Peach is
Yeah.
easy, but I swear to God, the Peach matchup's actually super hard. I think Puff is
Yeah,
hard,
no,
but it's simpler.
dealing with all of like the crazy, all of like the float height mix-ups and like it's a lot. I think it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
I've already been playing and talking to uh, some of our local peaches about the matchup that are pretty good, which has been helpful. But for Puff, we kind of just have like we have Panko and we have like Soap, who's like
Mhm.
another PR Puff, and then we have like one like upper mid level Puff, but like it just doesn't feel like as accessible of a matchup for me to kind of like really grind out
Yeah.
unless I'm just like like banging on Panko's door all the time and just like
Please play me, please.
yeah, but yeah, so the VOD I sent you, it's just like a money match because I was like if we don't play in bracket tomorrow, I want a money match and like get the VOD reviewed.
Hmm.
Um so that's just what I sent you. Um to sort of like just back up and just sort of let you know like what it feels like when I play Puff generally. I'm like I I've heard like I feel like I've heard all of the basic things about Puff that you hear, and like they bounce around in my brain somewhere, but I haven't been able to like find a way to play the matchup that like works for me.
Hmm.
Like I started out playing Puff like mega aggressive, like just like every other Fox. Like I'm just gonna kind of try to run over this Puff, which just doesn't work with good Puffs. And then like as soon as I got told like you gotta like camp the Puff, you gotta not really engage, and I start like playing that style, I just feel like completely inept offensively.
Hmm.
So like since then, whenever I play a Puff, it just feels like I'm kind of throwing shit at the wall, and like what I've settled on and what I feel like I did in this set is like I'm gonna try to like play my offense as best as I can and like not do as many like stupid things. And
Hmm.
that's about as far as I've gotten. So like there are some strings of good offense. I feel like I'm not doing like I'm sure there are some like basic mistakes here like defensively, but I don't feel like it's like abhorrent.
Yeah.
And I've kind of just like that's where I'm at in the matchup and kind of where I'm building from, just for some context, at least from my perspective.
Okay, that makes sense. I think like I don't know if I've ever talked about this firmly in the lesson, but I feel like the thing of defining matchups like, oh, you got to play more campy or you need to play more aggressive ends up being like not that useful of advice because it's like I don't even know what it means to actually be aggressive against Jigglypuff. I could I know that
Exactly.
being aggressive could mean like I could nair at her, but like when people talk about being aggressive, they're just referring to like a specific set of options, and so saying something so broad doesn't even like provide any help. Uh,
Yeah, no. I've gotten like tidbits of like specific advice that are helpful and I've tried to implement like just basic stuff like oh they back air your shield wave dash forward jab or like
yeah,
just little tidbits like that or like um like never go off stage in this situation or like something that I've talked about with Penko that I try to do is like he's like if I'm ever below you and I'm like drifting, like just like try to stay under me the whole time and like don't let me drift that far away or just like basic like there are tidbits like that I have like bouncing around in my head,
mm-hmm.
but nothing's really solidified into like a flow chart of like how I'm handling a lot of the basic interactions. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we're here for. We're gonna get those specific options and put them into a framework, and then it'll be
yeah,
easy to execute once you know exactly when you need to do it.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, okay, well, sounds good. When I watch this or talk about Puff, I'm not going to necessarily advocate, much for like any, broad claim on how to play the matchup. I'm really just going to present you with like these are the types of options you could pick, and it's you could,
Yeah,
depending on what you want, you could play them out in whatever way. Because I don't think it's that. It really just doesn't seem helpful as like a teacher to be like, all right, I'm going to need you to play aggressive, or I'm going to need you to play defensive, or I'm going to need you to like. I don't want to imprint my ideals on you. I just need to tell you what to do in the game, and you could do whatever you want.
no, I agree. That's the thing that I've kind of felt is like whenever I tried to like be like I'm bad at this matchup, let me take this person's advice. So far, at least with Puff specifically, I felt like everything that was good about what I was doing initially just kind of went away,
Uh-huh.
and so I've kind of stopped. Like I've kind of been waiting for an opportunity like this to kind of like not have to tear down what I've built so far, but like more just like add in what I need to add in.
Yeah, you could just build on it. Okay. I have the stream open with the set, so let me know when you're in and we could start.
Yep, I'm watching.
Okay, cool. Um, okay, okay, cool. I just want to check if it was a hand warmer or not.
No, yeah, it goes right into it.
Nice. Hmm. Oh man. Okay. I think I have a few thoughts after watching the first 10 seconds. So initially, I think you decided dash into the side platform. Initially, was just like good. Puff can't hit you, right? Um, and made sense. And then you tried to run under once you saw her jump, but you weren't that aware of the drift. And so you ended up getting hit.
Mm.
And I think that like, and then there she did the double jump rising fair, and you saw it, and you're like, my instinct is to run back rather than running forward. And the things I can have to say about that is what makes me think that the dash dance, like staying where you were at first, was good, was that when we think about Puff's threat range, when Puff's in the air,
Mm.
the way it works is it's like a cone. So it's like Puff can fall and drift diagonally, and then if you just keeps holding forward, there'll be like a point where she hits the ground, right?
Yeah.
And that like trajectory is like a cone angle, and so why you dash dancing at the beginning of the match like that was good is because you were outside the edge of the cone. And so if we look at like where Puff is when
Mm.
she runs off the platform, her cone from this height is probably around like right here. If she drifts all the way forward, no fast fall, this is like
Yeah.
this is about where she would land. And so that makes you think if Puff's in the air, there's this cone, and if she's not going to fast fall, she could cover from here and here, right? In both directions or whatever.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
Puff isn't like Marth or Fox where they have a move that covers up like below her. So the cone is like pretty shallow. And so maybe this is the outer edge of the cone, but this is like the inner edge of the cone, you know? And all of the stuff in between, she just can't really hit because she doesn't have a good down air. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's
So, yeah.
like super duper duper structural to playing against Puff because it's like if you know where the cone is at all the various heights, you can decide to never get hit either by being outside of it or being inside of it under her.
Yeah, I think my assessment of threat ranges is a big issue
Mm.
where sometimes it feels like when I outspace something, it's kind of like I like a really like I feel like I have bad heuristics when I'm like looking at an interaction and deciding whether I'm like safe or not. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll be running in at certain times and I'm just like what are you doing? Like you're running from out of the threat range from into it or a lot of interactions like that. Where I'm eating a lot of free percent, like free fares, free back airs, just because of like I'm misunderstanding like how where I should be standing or where I should be dash dancing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that actually comes up in the next interaction where you see her nair and you're like, I have to avoid it, so you dash back, right? But then it's like you're running it from here to versus an actionable Puff, you're just running right into her move. And there's nothing that you could do to make that not happen that way, right? Just because of the timing that you came in. And so to like replace, I guess, the dash in, or I guess the way that you could see it differently is I think dashing in there isn't inherently a bad decision, but the timing you do it is important. Because I think if you see the nair and you're like, you have to see the nair and decide to dash in. You can't see the nair, move away, and then see, oh, she did this drift or she did this move or whatever. You just only get to see the nair and be like, I'm going to read her drifting back and I'm going to run forward, right? And
So the reaction point is earlier.
yeah, the reaction point, you just see that she jumps, and that's the point where you need to make a decision if you're going to be aggressive, right?
Yeah, a quick question. So let's say like that. Take that same interaction where like after the first fair where I react a little late. So my options there are like just kind of like dash dance outside the threat range, or react to the jump. But let's say I'm like in that position, I feel like not necessarily cornered, but I definitely don't have stage advantage.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like retreating to a platform or anything like that? Like, how should I be using the platforms when I'm playing neutral against a Puff that has center stage?
I think in this position, using the platform would have been a great idea. I think that if you want to use platforms, the way that I see it is if Puff is in a position where she's next to the ground or could be hitting the ground easily, I'm totally okay with just going to side platforms. Because it's really hard for Puff to hit side platforms. For her to hit side platforms, she has to be double jumping up here and then drifting into the platform that you're standing on to hit you, right? And so, pretty much anytime when she's not in this exact spot, bearing right here, you could just go to the side platform and be safe. And even if she is in that spot, a lot of the time, guess what? You're going to wave land on the platform and shield. She's just going to be bearing your shield, right? And that's not going to matter. And so, as long as she's in either some position near the ground, which this would have been a great one, because guess what? She does this, you're like, oh, I see a nair. I'm just going to jump to side platform. You jump to top platform, you transition to the ground. Boom. Maybe you're in center stage now, right? But she doesn't always have to be in this exact position. She could be in the air too. As long as she's not in a spot that could directly hit you for jumping up to the platform as you do it, you could do it pretty haphazardly.
Okay.
And I think it's always pretty good just because Puff isn't fast enough to always hit you for coming down toward the platform either. She's gonna have to make a read, you know.
Mhm.
When she like did the full hop rising fair in the center stage when you're dash dancing on the left side, I think this was a good opportunity to like run under her
Mm.
and take a free hit. You know, when she's high up and you're close to her, that's when you're like, oh, I get to run under her because you know the cone, you're inside the cone, and so then you get to you know do your thing and threaten her. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Question about that.
Yeah.
So I'm when I'm looking for like when she does like a full hop fair like that, when she's like coming off the platform and I have a chance to go under, what sort of like chip damage am I looking for? Am I looking for just to like while they're still drifting forward and have that fair hitbox out, like hitting a cross up back air behind Puff and then like retreating back to neutral? Or am I looking for something like that would combo? Because like sometimes when I'm looking at like when I'm thinking move selection against Puff, I have a hard time like determining like should I like try to hit maybe like a more challenging like or more should I go for like an up tilt maybe or like a falling up air or something that'll send Puff upward and give me more combo potential, or do I kind of like take my back air and leave? You know, like I have
Hmm.
trouble assessing. That's sort of like what goes on in my brain when I see a Puff there and like if I were to attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that does. I think it's a mixture of how confident you are she's gonna like do the thing that you think she will, and what the value is from hitting like one of the higher value options. So for example, in this position, I kind of instinctively was like, oh, I would have done the cross up bear that you mentioned, just because not really sure what exactly she's gonna do because she's near the corner, so she could definitely drift away. And I'm okay with just getting a bear and then playing the next position. And I don't, you know,
Hmm.
it's 0%. And up tilt won't do all that much. But at the same time, if you were like, I know for a fact she's going to do this rising fair and drift in, you could run under her and then just wave dash back up tilt, right? And
Hmm.
sure,
Yeah.
it's a read, but you get so much more value because you get up tilt, you get bear. She's up high up in the air. You
Yeah.
get to run under her again and shark, and then maybe get another hit. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of how confident you are in it. Pretty much. There are some specific positions where it's like, oh, Puff is at 60%, and if I up tilt her, I get up tilt up air. And so you could like the risk reward slightly different from like bearing her because you get more reward,
Yeah.
but otherwise it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And I think as I have a better understanding of Puff threat ranges and like spacing against Puff in general, I'll start to understand Puff's routes better and
Yeah.
kind of be able to call out. I'd say I'm not that good right now at like calling Puffs out in their movement because I don't think I quite have a grasp on like when a Puff wants to drift in or drift towards me or drift away, which
Mm-hmm.
comes kind of stems from that like lack of understanding of their general threat ranges and what exactly they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think on you'll just get that with experience, honestly.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
there's not much I could say. I don't think I have any broad ideas about it.
No, yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
I think here, once you saw her do that pound, you reacted well and didn't aerial, but you got a nair. Nairing Puff out of
Nair.
the air is just super good, right? It's just like nairing anyone out of the air. You nair someone out of the air, maybe you get nair up tilt, you get a combo, maybe you get nair grab, maybe you get nair nair,
Mm.
right? But when you drill them out of the air, you get the weird position where this happens, and it's like I don't get a true drill shine. I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. Now I'm playing a mix up when you just didn't need to be playing one in the first place, you know? Ooh, I accidentally went all the way to
Yeah.
the end. I did not
Nair
mean to do that.
nair over back nair over back air.
Over drill. Yeah, because in
Yeah,
this,
but
yeah,
in
yeah,
an
yeah.
interaction where when I'm reacting to pound, I mean, I could nair or back air. Do you think nair is better there?
Yeah, there's better. Just because you don't need to back air, right? I think if you're gonna back air, the only reason why you'd back air over nair is that there's some sort of like it's a spot where bear would hit but nair wouldn't. right? But
Mm,
otherwise, you just want to Nair every time because Nair has less landing lag, so it'll be easier to do a combo afterward.
makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
God damn. Nice. Good job. Good job pressuring the corner. A lot of people just let Puff like fall into the corner for free, but it's actually super important to like actually threaten her just falling like that. What I
Hmm.
don't like is you grabbing the ledge. When Puff's like floating off stage, there's no reason to like grab ledge unless she's like particularly low, you know? Because the lower she is, the more
Okay.
likely your backer is to hit, and the more things that she has to worry about getting hit by. But if she's like all the way up here, which is where she was when you grab the ledge, it's like she doesn't. There's no reason for her to end up near ledge, right?
Yeah, I have a hard time. That's a yeah, and as I'm thinking about it generally, I would say like when I knock Puff like near the blast zone and they are like going back towards stage, my general assessment of like whether I should like do something aggressive, grab ledge, let them come back on stage, like hold like that's a thing where I'm kind of just rolling the dice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel everything up to the back air was like premeditated, but when I'm waiting for the puff to drift back to stage, I'm kind of you're probably not going to see a lot of consistency there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and we could build a plan for that, but
Hmm.
generally the way that I like discern the situations when Puff's like recovering is it's like the height that she's at and how close she is to ledge. So it's like the closer
Hmm.
she is to ledge, the more incentive I have to generally to maybe be on ledge or be willing to try and attack her, right? Because if she's further away, I can't bear and it won't. Like if she's further away, me bearing will hit her, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Or if the other metric is her height. So if Puff is really high up, I'm probably just gonna let her fall down because there's nothing I could do to hit her that wouldn't be committal on my part. So it's like Puff is up here,
Hmm.
I'd have to like double jump bear to try and hit her. I whiff that, I lose my stock, right? Or it's like Puff is up here, I try and do full hop bear to hit her, she drifts past me, I'm falling, and then I get pressured when I was in a good position, right?
Hmm.
But if she's
Yeah.
lower, it's like you get to just bear for free. You could threaten jump off shine. Grabbing ledge makes more sense because she can actually get hit by it, right, vertically. Um,
Mm.
and so those are like the metrics that I judge, the types of things I'd want to do against Buff. Of course, sometimes I'm just gonna stand here and do nothing as well. That's also a very valid thing to do.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes I'm kind of like I feel like right now I'm either being a bit too like grabbing ledge when it doesn't make sense, like being aggressive, or like just kind of giving up, like giving Puff stage and going to the opposite side plat and like just going for a bunch of lasers.
yeah,
Um, but no, those variables to look for. I think are going to be very helpful.
okay,
So I'm good there.
cool. Oh, I think here you kind of missed an opportunity. Um, One thing to recognize about Puff is that like if she's next to you and you see her do like a full hop rising aerial, that's like a if you're close, that's like a oh Puff messed up, you know? Because if she's not hitting
Mm,
you with that aerial, she can't do anything the entire time that she's rising with the aerial and then falling to the ground, right?
yeah.
And so here I'd be like, you ended up in this position, however you did. You could have seen that she was full hop up airing at this point and been like, oh, she's up airing. She's in lag. There's nothing she could do, and then I'd probably dash towards her and try and pressure her in some way. Maybe I'd nair. Maybe I'd up smash. Maybe I'd whatever. I'd try and do something aggressive to try and take advantage of the fact that she's in lag. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Cool. Cool. Because honestly, if you took the opportunity, and you see how he shields after too, because he knows, like, oh, this isn't a good position for me, right?
Yeah, and
And
it's kind of like if to go by like the cone or like triangle thing you were saying earlier. It's like he kind of just let me under, like he from being next to me, like he put me in like the position under the cone that I want to be in, like through
Yeah,
his actions.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And which, yeah, I think a big part of the Puff matchup too that isn't talked about that much is like being really good at taking the kills that they give you every single time is super duper duper important because Puff's a character that could kind of just decide I don't want to die, right, and then just do nothingness forever, and then chip you, and then eventually kill you after making you wait 2 minutes. And so it's like if you don't take the opportunities you have to potentially kill her, you lose so much value, right?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
you know it's kind of contradictory to what I said before, where it's like being passive is never a bad decision. It's like, sure, it's not a bad decision, but there are definitely much better things to do, right?
Yeah.
And so here you end up being
Yeah.
passive, and it's like, damn, you missed your chance, right?
Because yeah, because Puff has rest, it's like the value of each opening is is greater than a matchup where like, you know, opening doesn't necessarily mean death the way it can for Puff.
Yeah, it's like if you are losing neutral against Puff in a like a meaningful way, probably going to end up getting rested a good amount of the time, right?
Or back aired 8 times
Yeah,
stage.
yeah, like something disastrous could happen. Whereas with other characters, probably less of the case. Still, to some like Marth will probably boom you, but not every character will.
Yeah.
Um, this is something I tell all my students, but I think the like Cody short hop up air to like read jumps kind of into the corner isn't that great. I think that it makes sense why people do it because they're trying to read a jump in a position where people might be trying to escape to a platform. But I think that the spots where you can use it can be done way more specifically in a way that will like really increase your like hit rate. And so it's like what I like to do is when someone's on a side platform, I like to use it to read them coming down from it because it's hard for them to actually like punish me for doing it from that position, and then it has a reasonably high chance of hitting because they're going to be shield dropping some portion of the time, right? Or I like doing it in spots where I'm already so close to the person that me doing the up air functions pretty similarly to me doing a nair just because it'll cover the ground too, and they will, and like they don't have enough room or like space between us to avoid it. And so it's like, oh, the chance of it working is just inherently higher off like the fact that I changed the spacing slightly. Um, and I think
Yeah, I
like,
would say.
or
Yeah,
you go,
go,
you go, you
go
go,
ahead. Go ahead.
you
No,
go.
yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say I do. I definitely just kind of throw those out sometimes. Like my logic is just like, hey, like Puff is above me. I'm not really good at like dash dancing effectively when Puff is above me, kind of like what I was saying about threat ranges.
Yeah,
So like, why not just throw out haymakers that aren't that laggy?
yeah.
That's my like logic by just kind of like throwing out some of those up airs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I also do a lot um, in like doubles against floaties. It's because like I feel like I know it's like I should not be basing my singles game plans off doubles, but like in doubles you could like you can't because there's so much going on. You can kind of just like throw out falling up airs against floaties and just kind of catch them sometimes.
Yeah,
But like so sometimes in singles, specifically against like Peach or Puff, you might just see me like throw out like 5 like just falling up airs in a situation where it's just like I'm kind of just like give me a kill, give me a kill. It's like
yeah,
better than running up and up smashing, but like not that much, you know?
yeah. And I think like the risk reward for it feels good because like, oh, up air's not that laggy. It's just another aerial. I'm chilling, and the value's great. But then it's like
Exactly.
you play against the one player that's good enough to like read that, and then you start losing stocks rapid fire, and it's like, oh fuck,
Exactly.
And I think the way Cody uses it feels like it feels like it's baiting other players because he uses it a lot, but I think a lot of the positions where he does use it, they end up being the more specific type of positions where there are other factors that make it either have a higher chance of success or it covers more options or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's more informed than it may seem. So at a lower level, my implementation just isn't going to be as good.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I may see him use it a lot, but it's a lot more informed, obviously, than what I just described. You know.
yeah. I agree. Um, a good shine. I wish you didn't come off the platform there. I think it was awkward that you ended up on the platform because you had to like get out of there because you did the up air. But I wish that like once you like shine and then wave land on the platform, I would be down to just stay up there. You know, because
Mm,
going to the ground takes too much time for you to actually be able to like do anything about the puff teching your shine. And so it's like I'm fine to play neutral from the side platform. It's not really gonna like it's not really detriment to my like neutral capabilities, right? Because what we talked about before, where it's like Puff isn't really that great at actually hitting platforms.
hmm Yeah, kind of like a poor assessment of how much advantage I actually have
Yeah, it
off
definitely
of like that shine.
yeah, it definitely felt like you thought I could do something about that shine hitting, but then you're already getting hit by
Yes.
Nair by the time you're not even on the ground, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, there is like a minute defense thing to be said about this position, but I think like if you're getting hit out of the air, you probably shouldn't try and shine, right? Because it would take so
Mm,
long for you to, be in hit lag in the air, fall to the ground, go through the 4 frames of landing lag, and then be actionable that they'd probably have time to move out of the way, so shine wouldn't hit. And so I think that the way that I think about these defensive positions is I'd be way more down to shield, to roll, to dash, just something that isn't like shine. Because shine is a lot of people are going to be playing around shine, and since they're moving, it doesn't have that good of
yeah.
a chance of hitting.
So yeah, in a situation like this, not really a lot of like direct counterattacking options. More just like a try to take a good position kind of
Yeah, I think you
kind of thing.
can be
Okay.
aggressive. Like if you get by the snare, you could just be like, "I'm going to read the
Short
puff."
hop nair.
You could. I think you should run up grab. You won't have time to short hop nair.
Mm,
I think the frame I paused it on makes it look like you had time to like nair or something, but I would be
yeah,
down to like
yeah.
run up grab or running shine. If you look at it in real time, grab would have hit whatever he did. I'm pretty sure. Yep, he tried to. He would have
Yeah,
wave
he
dashed
just
away.
crouched.
Yeah, right. It's like he tried to like move away, and it's like I'm Fox, so you just get to run up, grab, and hit him, right? And that's like a real thing Puff has to worry about when she hits you with Nair at low percent. You're still advantageous enough to be able to play a good mix up. Um, yeah, good grab. I think. I wonder if Up Smash would kill that 74. I have a thing for this actually. Let me open it. 74 on
I'm not a
Battlefield.
huge. I'm not a huge. Ooh, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna. I'm
Yeah,
gonna need
I
that
could
one.
send you. Yeah, I made this a while back. It's
Uh,
pretty useful.
I literally try. I started making something like that with myself off of that like website that like shows DI trajectories when you like kill someone. You know
Hmm.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I need data.
I
Yeah.
I yes. Yeah, I need data. I tried making myself one of these. I was like, I'm on an 8 hour car ride. I'm gonna try to just do that for myself on this car ride. And like I realized just like I was like, oh man, this is gonna take so long to remake. And so I got like I got through like a couple of characters on like one stage and I was like fried and I like never went back to it.
Yeah.
But this is
No.
like the kind of resources I've been looking for.
Nice. I'm glad. This is. I have another little thing too. I think I have one about Yoshi double jump armor percent. It's kind of random, but it's Fox
Mm.
information. You might as well have it.
No, I'm no. It's funny. I don't know if we've talked about this, but I play I do play Sheik in the Marth.
Hmm.
Um, it's the only right now. It's really the only thing that I don't use Fox for. And currently I'm pretty. I think I'm sticking with it. I think it's
I
just
think I'm
more.
nasty. I got the sauce.
No, no, I don't even think it's like that. It's just like the like not playing well on a day against Marth as Fox just like just means that you're getting steamrolled, and as
Hmm.
Sheik it means like at Sheik sometimes that means like you're still going like last stock every game just because
Yeah.
I don't know, at least at my level.
No,
I
I
know
mean
you
I
might
agree
disagree.
generally. I think Sheik Marth is magnitudes easier than Fox Marth is, and I think most people would agree with that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and like we are not a Marth heavy state. Our best Marth doesn't really enter.
Hmm.
Um, or Dublat. So like we have another like recent transplant Marth who's like fringe, like probably like in the like 11 to like 20 range. That's like the best Marth, and we have our most recent set was really close, so I'm happy there. But like the thought process just came up because I had another Sheik that we have send me like a like beautiful Sheik grab flowchart thing against Marth,
Yeah.
and it literally is like I just need to like read a little bit of that and like think about that a little bit more, and I just get better. You know,
Yep.
it's like the simplest flowchart because getting a grab off Marth is not that hard. It feels like,
Yeah. No, I agree.
but
I
yeah,
think I think that I think that like conceptually is actually very big. Having like a being able to just like see the information and be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do the thing now, and then maybe you practice the thing for a while, you think about it, and then you just like instantly improve. I think those are super good things to
well,
just focus
it's
on with melee.
I get specifically with up smash. One of the like when a lot of the people that I talk to a lot about like my gameplay are like one of my roommates, the Falco I live with, is just like every time I up smash him in a friendly at like 40, he's like, "You up smash too early. You up smash too early. You up smash too early." It's like a thing ringing in my head. He's like, "Should have up tilted there. Should have you know." So like,
Hmm.
and something that I remember once we have like I threw in like a melee question uh in like the Georgia Melee Discord, and H12 was just like, you should never be up smashing unless up smashing is gonna kill. Like Fox always like has a better option, like which is like obviously a sweeping statement, but like
Yeah, I think it
in
depends.
general, I in general I think that's a good philosophy if you're like constantly up smashing
Yeah.
before it will kill. You know,
Yeah, I think if you're
um,
like up smashing at like mid high percents, I'm like, yeah, you should probably never up smash. But 0 to 40, up
that's
smash is a great
I
move.
no that's but I low key will be like up smashing a Falco at 60 like off of like a and it's just like I mean yeah you get a back air after and they're at like 90 high 90s and like recovering but like you know
They could
that kind
also
of
be
vibe.
dead from a
They can
different
also be dead
option.
if I up tilted and you know yeah exactly
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that makes sense.
yeah that's where that calculator or that doc can help me just be like it's this stage stop up smashing here you know because it'll take this much more percent.
Yeah, yeah, but up smash on that pound I think would have been better, just because it killed. Up throw upper is a bit
Yeah.
sus.
Yes.
Oh my god, you like accidentally ran forward, and it did not know what to do after.
Yeah, I think I might have whipped a dash back there. I am not like running across the stage. Like, I mean, maybe
It looked like you
yesterday.
messed up. So
Yeah, it felt that was a quite the long dash forward.
yeah.
My guess would probably be whipped dash back.
I do have one thought about it though, and I think that once you got to this position, it was probably fueled by the fact that you like obviously weren't comfortable. But like when you're point blank with Puff, jumping or doing full hop specifically ends up being one of the least safe things to do, because like Puff isn't fast enough on the ground to like cover rolls effectively or wave dashes away, and Puff isn't fast enough vertically to cover double jump, right? And so it's like full hop, it's unintuitive because you know other characters full hop's great, but against Puff when you're right next to her, full hop's one of the riskiest things you can do. Just because exactly what
Yeah,
happened just happened. Puff will just kind of throw out a move and you will get clipped, and it's up air. So Puff hits you with the right kind of up air. Maybe you get up air barred off stage, or maybe you get up air rested, and it's horrible, right?
yeah. I think the fear of being on the ground like that is like I might get grabbed, but I think full hop is a little bit more easy than a puff getting a grab
Yeah,
in that situation.
I agree. I think if Puff wants to grab you in that position, it's a pretty big risk because it's like, what if you, what if you're shining out a shield now and then you wave shine away, or what if you roll away, or what if you short hop aerial, or what if you double jump? It's like all those things are pretty good against her just shield grabbing, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You messed up a bit. Oh, that was a good Nervo. I like that you kind of chilled. I think you did have an opportunity to hit her when she was like back airing above the ledge like that, but I like that you chilled. Once she gets to this point, if you were on the ground, you could just double jump bear her. Because it was the thing that we talked about earlier where it's like when Puff does a full hop aerial, she has to fall to the ground, right? It's the same for when she's in the air. It's like when she has a double jump aerial, she has to fall back down before she's out of lag. And so what you get to do is you can see her like do the rising aerial and be like, oh, I'm gonna bear, you know, the bottom of that like rising aerial. And so if you're double jumping, your double jump bear hits up here, right? Can you like visualize that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you're on the ground here, what you could be like, I saw the double jump bear, I'm going to hit her falling. And that's like a thing that you could do purely on reaction once she gets to certain heights. And this, you know, feeds into the thing that I was talking about earlier where it's like how likely I am to do something against Puff. If Puff is close and high, I'm down to throw a ball, like throw down, right? If she's far and high, I'm not going to do anything. But close and high, that means that she can still get hit by me doing double jump actions, which is like, oh, you know, makes the risk reward way better for me. I'd be down to double jump bear after I saw that double jump, her do that double jump bear.
Yeah.
Again, grabbing a ledge here was pretty like sus. Is it just you grab ledge and look at the position you end up in? Oh, you're getting hit. You're doing something defensive, and it's like, oh wait, what happened? Puff was just off stage.
Sometimes when Puff is like drifting and their like range is like they may like drift onto like side plat, like that kind of height when they're coming back from being off stage. I like sometimes I get it in my brain that I like, oh, if I like grab ledge and do like a high back air off ledge, maybe I'll clip them. That's kind of like but in most situations I'm not getting that. It's like Puff has so many drift options there that beat that. But that's probably why I'm doing that there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely think Puff has so many drift options that like when you do decide to do something, it really has to like cover a lot of them, or she has to have very few of the drift options to do, you know? It has to be kind of special. Cool. That was fine. I think it was kind of forced. I feel like if I ended up in this position, I would have had that, and I would have, you know, full hop to side platform or go to the ground is completely fine. But then it's like, I feel like you wasted an action by shielding there, and so then you were forced to shield once she landed close to the ground. And I think once you watch it back, watch for after you full hop. You don't have to shield there, you know? There's nothing that, like, makes you feel like you need to shield, because what you saw when you decided to shield was Puff short hopping right here. Puff short hopping right here can only hit right here, right? Because the cone, you know, the higher she goes up, the further she can go horizontally. So when she's short hopping, she can't go that far. She can go maybe here, maybe there, and then bear would hit, you know, right there. And so it's like, you could have been dash dancing, right? Instead of shielding.
Yeah.
And so then once you see that she does this double jump bear, you get to run under her for free and then decide, I'm going to up tilt, I'm going to bear, I'm going to up air, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And instead of, you know, having to play this position where you're forced to shield like 3 interactions in a row, which is pretty uncomfortable, at least to be.
No, yeah. Part of me feels pretty comfortable shielding there, because, like, I'm like, if I get hit by a back air, I might just be in a really tough position for the rest of this stock. And, like, when Puff's just kind of playing that, like, I'm going to do aerials from, like, above, which is what I was sort of getting there. I'm like, well, if I shield a back air, I could probably get a jab or an aerial out of it, which is what happened.
Yeah.
But I do see your point of, like, generally, like, I have so many more options available to me if I'm dash dancing.
Yeah, the way I see it is I agree generally with the claim that, you know, shielding is fine if Puff could potentially bury you and it could hit. But the way that I kind of want us to look at it is it's like Puff couldn't have hit you there, which is why there's no reason to shield. Like you shield when Puff can hit you, right? You shield when anyone can hit you. Otherwise, you don't have any reason to shield. And why I say you should almost always follow that rule is general, just like fundamentally speaking, you can do more things out of dash than you can out of shield. Out of shield,
Yeah.
you could jump, roll, and spot dodge and grab. Out of dash, you could do all those things as well as dashing, and then decide to shield too, because shield's a frame one decision. And so it's like,
Yes.
if I have the choice, I would literally always pick dash. Now, if I need to shield because I'll get hit, what the heck? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, weird. My thing disconnected. I think the part where I saw it disconnect was where I was talking about if I had the choice between shielding and dashing, I would always pick
always
dash.
dashing.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that is unless I would literally get hit if I didn't shield. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, like, logically to you?
No, yeah. It's like shielding is like I should only be putting myself in shield if I will get hit, or
Yeah.
like that is a high likelihood.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it, because shielding's great, but it's also, you don't want to shield every time anything happens ever, because then you're in the position where it's like, oh, I have to wave dash out of shield when I could have been like on the other side of the screen already running, right?
Yeah. Well, to stick with the common theme, I mean, it's clearly a response to me not understanding the Puff threat range fully. So
Yeah.
of course I'm going to shield there because I'm just afraid of getting hit because I don't quite understand what Puff's options are there.
Yeah. One thing that I think would help a lot, and is a pretty general thing, but if Puff hits her shield like this, and you are like, I want to double jump away, or I want to jump away, you should always double jump instead of full hop. Because if you full hop, you could get clipped by like Puff doing rising up air, but if you double jump, you'll never get hit by it. Does that make sense?
What about shine out a shield?
Yeah, I think shine a shield grabbing. If Puff hits your shield with an aerial like this specifically, you could just shield grab it or shine a shield. Why I say like double jump here specifically is because she was invincible.
Yeah. I'm mostly shining out a shield. I feel like is my go-to there.
Yeah, I think shining out a shield's fine. Shining out a shield's great, but do know that it's not like Puff has a shine, so and it's not like she has a good
Shield
dash,
grabbing.
so you could shield grab a lot. Yeah.
I'm just afraid of getting like spot dodge grabs, which is
Yeah.
again another exactly what you're saying. Like these are things that like I'm clearly like not understanding Puff's offensive toolkit fully.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm making those decisions.
I think here's another spot where you kind of misjudge what Puff could do out of her threat range. And so you're over here. I end up dashing all the way back here. I'm chilling. I'm just going to keep dash chancing, right? But you dashed forward and you had to shield. And it goes back to the thing that we just talked about where it's like, if I don't have to shield, I don't want to shield. And since you shielded, guess what? You're like, oh, I have to full hop. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be an awkward position at least. Yep, you full hop, you try and drill, and you get buried. And it's like, you know, you didn't even need to be shielding there. You moved into her threat range, right?
It's like by dashing forward there, I put myself in a position where the only option was shielding.
Yeah.
So like the dash itself is what limited my options, the dash forward.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
No.
Yeah, in general, like, what do I like? That dash forward is probably just me like wanting to progress neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can play. I've tried. Like I've had 6.5-minute Puff games in bracket, like not on Dreamland, and like that I just never win that war.
Yeah.
So like, which is why I'm trying to like I guess progress neutral. What are the like? What should I be thinking if I'm in a situation like that? Like what are the things I can do to kind of like safely kind of like push the interactions forward? If that makes sense.
That makes sense. I think though that it might be valuable to like change your perspective on it slightly because I do feel that I want to progress neutral against Puff, but I also feel like it's not like this game, the Puff has camped you remotely. Like, you guys have pretty much been playing neutral pretty directly the whole time. And so I feel like,
Yeah, he's not a camper. He's not a camper.
yeah,
Every time I
right.
played him, it looks like this.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't want to be like, I have, I don't want to be like, I need to progress neutral just for the sake of doing it. It's like, you guys aren't even like, there's no camping happening. So it's like the interaction's going to come up soon, anyways, right? You're going to be able to hit the Puff. And I think that it's valuable to be like, to change the way that you think about it, to be like, you will have opportunities to hit the Puff or to advance neutral, but you have to be specific about it. You can't like arbitrarily decide I'm going to advance neutral because we're no longer right next to each other. But like what I see is you dash dancing right here, the Puff bears, you get to run forward after she whiffs the bear and pressure her. Is that not advancing neutral, right?
Yeah, rather than running into the bear.
Yeah.
Just really like a half second of extra patience.
Yeah, and it's not even like you're camping either. You're just avoiding a move and you're gonna go in right after. It's just,
Yeah.
basic neutral stuff. And I think that's like changing the way that you think about like progressing neutral against Puff rather than it being like, I want to make something happen, just kind of whenever. It's like there are things that happen within the match that will let you like progress the game state, And so Puff doing a short hop aerial to stop you from running forward is a great opportunity for you to be like, oh, I'm gonna now run forward and then play a mix up on Puff being on the ground, right?
Yeah, I think I just kind of suffer a bit from just general like fast faller came up playing a lot of fast faller brain.
Yeah, I mean, I get
really
it.
I'm just yeah. I think it's like every time I play a floaty, it's like I'm constantly just kind of overplaying my hand a little bit, which is I'm sure like an experience thing. I don't have that much collective experience against any floaty,
Mhm.
and like I'm more generally just playing fast fallers all the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very different. A lot of the time against spaces, you can just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna force something. I'm gonna make something happen. But it's like,
Oh yeah,
why that works against spaces is that they don't have good range. You know who does have good range? Jigglypuff back air. And she will be zoning you.
yeah,
Falco's not going to zone you all that much. He can, but most Falcos aren't going to just be explicitly zoning you. Fox can't zone Fox at all. Unless he's at, like, he's
yeah.
naring, right? And it's like, okay. And so it's like, that's kind of like the difference. Is against other, like, spaces, you can force it, but other characters, they have the range advantage against you. So you really have to, like, play into that rather than kind of just making something happen because you can. I know we're getting near the end of the lesson, but I actually want to show you me versus Jigglypuff just so we could talk about some of the more fundamental things that we covered, like the threat range stuff or like playing defense against Puff. Because
yeah. I've tried watching some Fox Puff VODs. What should I be like stealing from the Fox that I'm watching when I'm looking at them? Because I love watching better people play. Like I watch a lot of like top level VODs,
mhm.
but I get a lot more when I'm watching like a Fox versus a Fox, a Fox versus a Falco, a Fox versus a Falcon. Um, what should I be looking for in like a Fox versus a floaty? Just like spacing or
I think that you should be looking for just in Fox Puff specifically, you should be looking for the times the Fox does something that you would consider progressing neutral, and then looking at it and being like, why did he do that? What did the Puff do that would, what position was the Puff in that would like entice him to do that? And then how did he do it? And did he like directly hit the Puff, or did he take positioning? And how did he play that position after taking it right? I think that would be like a good way to initially like look for it, because you'll see that there's a lot of times when Puff is just or Fox is just dash dancing and the Puff's whiffing over and over, and that's totally normal. And there's going to be a few times where the Fox just ends up really close to the Puff and no one knew how it happened, right? And that's like those are the times where you have to be like, okay, why did he have an opportunity to be aggressive?
Yeah.
I could make
you
this
versus Two Sade in here somewhere.
Yeah, this is me versus Two Saint.
Did y'all play an actual bracket too?
No, we just played in pools. And have the opportunity to play in Smith bracket. Alright, yeah. Alright. And we start on our Battlefield 2, so perfect start.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. This is immediately, like, super different from... Alright, it starts out actually pretty similar. It's like dash sense here, and guess what? I get the laser for free because Puff coming off the platform. Guess where it lands? Oh, he has to stop there. It would have landed right here, you know? And so that's cone awareness.
It's the exact same thing, except like instead of fully drifting towards me with an air like Panko did, he just like drifted back to center. You know?
Yeah, and
but I'm seeing the range.
Yeah, and that's the important part. And we see the range, and then I see Puff on the ground. I'm like, Puff can't do shit, and so I just run towards her. I realize that she's wave dashing back, and so I wave dash down. And guess what? Puff is now just in the corner. I didn't do anything. I did not do anything except run forward, wave dash down. And now guess what? Oh, I do a nair. I read her jumping in the corner. We're chilling. This is fine. I try and read her falling. And then at some point I'm like, okay, I'm done playing in the corner. I'm going to go laser. Oh, this was a slight misspace, but this was an opportunity to run under if I was slightly closer. And so you see where Puff is here, she double jumps. If I was, instead of dashing from here, I was right here, I would be able to run under and then hit her doing the snare. But I was too far away.
No, and this is an exact replica of the situation where I shielded and was restricting my options.
Yeah. And we see, even though I get hit by the nair, the position's not bad. It really doesn't matter that much. Oh, look at that. The Puff pounds. I'm ready to nair it out of the air, right? Because I could get more value off that. There. Wave on the plat, pressure. I decide to give it up. I run under the Puff. I bear because it's safe. She doesn't drift into it. Guess what? Doesn't matter. We get to go back to playing neutral normally, right? And so we're seeing a lot of the same exact situations. The situations will always be the same with Puff. They're just, you know... Oh, Puff on the ground, she can't hit me. I just get the dash dance for free, right? And so it's like, you know, this is all just pretty good control over the Puff threat range. And look at this position. I do shield here compared to all the other positions because I actually can get hit here. And if you look at it, what'll make... Guess what? Puff could have been bearing. Guess where the bear would have hit? Right here. And guess what I do? Oh, I shield. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to get hit. I'm shielding. And I had to shield there, right? Because I could have gotten hit. And now... Oh, this was actually another thing we talked about. Puff, when she does full hop rising aerials, she has to fall to the ground, right? Because she has to go through the lag. She rises and she falls. And so guess what? He does a rising bear. I realize it. Guess what? I get to jump to the platform for free because I know he has to hit the ground. Right?
Yep.
And then I get out for free. I read him jumping with an up smash. That's fine.
Nice. Yeah, that's nice tech chase.
Oh. Tried to shield poke. But it didn't work out. Oh, that was not good for me. I should never get hit by that pound.
You want to look at why you got pounded, just so I can understand what to assess when I'm getting...
I just jumped in on the bat. There's no reason for me to jump to try and hit Puff in the air there. I could just dash dance and, like, pressure her landing.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Dash dance a bit too close, and it didn't go too well. I thought that'd kill. That was the goat.
I see how you're using side plats to retreat to a neutral.
Yeah.
In good ways.
It's like, oh, I dash all the way back because the cone. Right, yep, I'm outside the cone. Guess what? And then I move back in.
And then you're under them, and then you go to the side plat. Yeah, I'm starting to see.
Yeah, it's like, oh, guess what? I'm directly under Puff, the cone. I move outside of the cone ends right here. Guess what? And then I run under, guess what? It hit here. And so then I see that she goes even higher, I run under her, I stay under her, and then I go to the side platform, because instead of reading her drifting, I read her drifting to the side plat, and I wanted to read it in, like, waveland grab. But she didn't, and so I go on to play neutral. And so it's like, throughout all that time, this is like pretty precise control of the cone. I know where I'm at. I'm not, you know, doing anything I don't need to be, and I'm transitioning into the cone when I have the time. And so we see at the end of this whole entire thing, Puff lands on the left side platform, and I'm like, I have time to run under, right? Because I know she can't be here because she was doing a rising double jump aerial.
Mm,
He got red. Up smash. Cool.
nice, nice.
Yeah, and we'll watch one more stock. Maybe I get rested. Who knows? Okay, I definitely do get rested. The hell am I doing? Yeah, we'll watch one more actual
I just
stock.
yeah, it's a good tech chase.
Yeah, it just that happens. Oh, look, I get hit by Nair to the air. Guess what I do? I do the run up grab we talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
At 0%, it's just like getting hit by Nair like this doesn't even matter. I messed up my
Mm.
throw up air. It, come on, man. Oh,
Yeah,
sideways
I see
face.
that. I see that. I'm noticing like a much more patience when you throw an aerial out there in the corner and Puff's in center. Like often when Puff rolls away and I throw an aerial in the corner, I kind of freak out and I'm like, oh my god, I'm cornered, and then like immediately run into the aerial that Puffs are always gonna have ready for you. You know,
Yeah.
like whenever I feel like it's always like Puff rolls out of the corner, throws some sort of aerial in center stage, and I'm getting hit by that aerial like every time because I'm so antsy to
Mm-hmm.
get out of there.
Mm-hmm. But when I see it, I see the Puff roll, and I'm like, Puff isn't Captain Falcon. She can't run away. So she's gonna have to do something to defend herself. And so I'm ready just to wait for
Yeah,
that and see what happens, you know?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, bad full hop, and I get rested. Okay, cool. We could start wrapping up. But yeah, did you kind of see how once we watched me play, it was pretty clear that like, oh, these are the threat ranges I want to be in. These are the threat ranges I want to avoid. Here's how I interact with whatever thing that we talked about, right? And it's not like the gameplay looked wildly different. A lot of the same exact
Hmm.
situations came up, right? Just a little bit more
No, yeah.
finesse.
I'll definitely watch. I'll probably go and watch that full set for sure. Um, another. Is there anything like I understand that Puff matchup's not really like a crazy punish flowcharty matchup in general. Other than like understanding percents, is there anything like Uncle Punchy to practice against a Puff in general? Would you say
Um,
maybe like tech chasing off of a drill shine or anything like that?
yeah, I
Is
think
there
tech chasing off
anything?
Droshan, practicing doing up throw up air and getting the latest possible up air, like having it be as deep as possible. That is something worth practicing. I think practicing.
What percent
Um,
should I have a Puff at when I'm doing that? Like kill percent, just like
I mean, any percent from not kill percent to kill percent. It's just about like the puff smash DI, you know, and she can smash that at
mm,
all percents, right? So just try do that as many percents that you think are relevant as you can. Just getting as deep of an upper as possible.
yeah.
Um, I think practicing either shield grabbing, shiner shielding, or wave dash shining, puff like light aerials on your shield or early aerials. Just practice having like shield defense stuff against different ways puff would hit your shield.
Yeah.
Um, I think that might be it. There really aren't that many things. I guess you could practice hitting pound and like practice puff doing
Mm,
pound at different heights and different timings because sometimes puff pounds really high and it's ambiguous if you can hit it out of the air with an aerial or do you need to like or if you can hit it from the ground with like an up smash or if you need to like hit it with an aerial, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think there's not really any like big situations that you are gonna
Yeah,
have to
it's
punch.
more like yeah, it feels like it's heavy spatial awareness and like like just like interaction assess like it feels like just it's all about like spacing and like assessment of the situation
Yeah.
versus like hitting your punishes per se.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a lot more. It's way more about like conceptual than it is just like raw execution. There's not that much going on that you're gonna have to press buttons for, but you are gonna have to have the right idea about situations.
Mm, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you have any other thoughts, or does this all make sense?
No, this all makes sense because it's a matchup that I'm not that strong in. I think it's going to be like a I think I'll see improvement in a much more linear fashion. Like
Nice.
I think there were clearly like bad things that you called out that I was doing that like with not too much practice like I can feel the improvement. Uh, but yeah, no, this is good. getting a lot of the lessons. I'll definitely probably re-listen to this a few times, like I did with the Falcon one, and it'll stick. But yeah, I've been having really good games against Falcon recently, and like not
Nice.
getting like so I definitely like, even though it's like only 2 weeks, because I have so much Falcon practice accessible, I think I saw some really big strides.
Hmm.
So
That's really
so
cool.
yeah.
I'm glad you found it useful. Yeah.
No, yeah, I've like I said, like every idea I do have is just from like listening to fiction lessons. So like
Hmm.
listening to myself talk to someone about things, and then like I literally like, man, those 20 views are probably all me. Like so so like yeah, I'm always like re-listening and trying to like get the most out of these, and kind of like
Nice.
hear you say things a few times. So
That's really good.
yeah, I'll yeah, I guess I'll let you know if I have any specific questions across the next 2 weeks, and then
Okay.
maybe it'll be Puff again next week. Maybe it'll be someone else if I don't feel the strides that I hope for. But
Yeah.
yeah, good
Okay,
lesson.
cool. Sounds good. I hope the Puff matchup goes as well as the Falcon matchup has. I hope every lesson from now on goes that well.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna be yeah. I'm probably just gonna be bothering every Puff I know now for the next couple
Nice.
weeks, just trying to get some basic practice in. So
Awesome.
like,
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Have a good rest of your day.
yep, you too, man.
Later.